The publishing industry needs to change, but traditional publishers are hesitant to take advantage of technological advancements. Crowdscribed is an Oklahoma City startup that's reversing the publishing process, bringing readers in before it begins. The Crowdscribed website is a model that can produce bestsellers written by industry experts and crowdsourced authors using ideas generated by the crowd. With the ability to publish 12 bestsellers each year, Crowdscribed can expect to have a 10-time return on investment of its initial $500,000 within the first 5 years. My name is Eleanor Berg, and I'm a political science senior from San Antonio, Texas.
I'm Elizabeth Kell, a marketing and culture media junior from Savage, Minnesota.
I'm Austin Kipp, an MIS and entrepreneurship junior from Oklahoma City.
I'm J.C. Fisher, a finance, accounting, and religious studies junior from Flower Mound, Texas.
I'm Zach Burgess, a computer science junior from Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Also on our team are Ryan Phillips, Ali Hajamirza, Siddharth Verakantam, team leader Susan Mooring, and development lead Joel Maupin. Our mentor is Callie Ferguson, and our inventor is Scott Klosowski. This semester's Software Business Accelerator team was challenged to build a profitable business model based off the innovative idea of crowdsourcing the publishing process. We've done this by building the Crowdscribed website with a beta test group of more than 160 users. We've run a 2-week submission and voting cycle with more than 28 titles submitted and voted upon. And finally, we've connected with more than 120 users and potential users through interviews, focus groups, and surveys. Right now, the publishing industry has a one-way relationship with publishers. Publishers and authors decide which content they think should be in books and hope that they're successful. This leads to problems for both publishers and readers. Publishers have no way to guarantee sales for any book they choose to publish. For every 10 books they produce, 6 will lose money. In fact, only 1 of those 10 books will turn a substantial profit for the publisher. This in turn leads to a lot of waste. Each year, more than 221 million units end up in landfills. This translates to over $3 billion in lost revenue. Meanwhile, readers have no contribution to the publishing process before it begins. They also have little interaction with other readers. In addition, it is hard for readers to find books in niche topics, like the influence of music on different eras in history. These problems all stem from a simple fact. Readers have no interaction with publishers. Instead of continuing this trend of reader non-involvement, Crowdscribed builds a connection with readers. By doing this, Crowdscribed gains reader insights, is able to ensure pre-sales, and is able to expedite the publishing process. From readers, Crowdscribed can gain insights on titles, content, and possible authors for their published materials. By allowing pre-sales on the website, Crowdscribed is able to ensure a reader base for any book they choose to publish. This, in turn, guarantees revenues. The unique multiple authorship model that Crowdscribed will work with involves an industry expert author who will write the first and last chapters, as well as a detailed outline of the nonfiction book that is chosen to be published. This will allow Crowdscribed to produce a book in 4 months as opposed to the 12 months required by the traditional publishing model. By utilizing a print-on-demand service, Crowdscribed will be able to greatly reduce its environmental impact. The Crowdscribed cycle begins with 3 weeks of submission on nonfiction titles that readers can submit directly to the website. During this time period, readers will also be able to leave comments on books that they think will be successful. This contributes to the content of the actual book. During the last week of the 1-month cycle, users will be able to vote on these submitted titles. In addition, they will be able to recruit new users to ensure that Crowdscribed has a reader base for whatever book they choose to publish. Finally, the winning book will be crowdsourced using that unique multiple authorship model. This process will take about 3 months. During this process, Crowdscribed will need to pay individual payments to the authors of the individual chapters, as well as determine the author royalty for the industry expert who writes the outline. Finally, the book will be available for pre-sale on the website and will be available in and print book format. However, this model hinges on user interaction. So here's Zach to show you how we've built the website to best facilitate it.
Thank you, Eleanor. Over the last semester, developers have worked hard to create a website for Crowdscribed. To test our business model, we ran a 2-week mini cycle consisting of 1 week for users to suggest titles, and a second week for users to vote on those titles. I'd like to walk you through how those users interacted with the web page during these 2 weeks. When you go to our website at crowdscribed.com, you'll be greeted with information about our company. New users can sign up in the bottom left-hand corner, while returning users can sign in at the top right. Once signed in, during that first week, users went to the Submit tab to submit their favorite title. They entered in a book, a genre, a short description, and a long description of their title. We had 28 titles submitted in that first week. After that, we then opened up the voting phase for users to vote on titles. Users clicked on the Vote tab and were immediately greeted with a ballot for them to choose their 3 favorite titles. Below that ballot were those titles. If you were to click on a particular book, you'd be brought to that book page where you can view more information about it. If you liked it, you could add it to your ballot. Below that was a commenting system for users to interact with each other. We were able to, if you were to click on a comment, you'd then go to their profile page to learn more information about that person. Upon submission of your ballot, you were brought to the results page. And here, you were able to see which books were winning. Over the course of the 2 weeks, we went from 100 users to 163 users, had over 70 titles voted on by users. Crowdscribed.com has a website that is functional and is ready for further development. Alyssa will now discuss how analyzing the data that the crowd generates on that website will make us a successful company. Alyssa?
Thank you, Zach. So using that reader interaction, Crowdscribed will be able to take data from their website and develop a model that will be used to predict the success of books before the cost of publishing is expended. When a user comes onto the site, Crowdscribed learns more about who they are and what their preferences are, as well as collecting original content in the form of ideas and titles. As Crowdscribed begins running their competition cycles, they'll be able to look at votes and readers' financial investment in the form of pre-orders, as well as solidifying a vote-to-sales conversion rate, which will measure how many votes turn into actual purchases. We project that in year 3, Crowdscribed will have enough data to begin building a predictive sales formula. This predictive sales formula is what will allow Crowdscribed to ensure that they produce books only that will be profitable, as well as achieving their goal of consistently publishing bestsellers. But in order to collect this data, we need to build the crowd. We've developed a crowd-based marketing and user acquisition strategy for Crowdscribed. Within the book publishing industry, nonfiction accounts for 16% of revenues, equaling about $4.3 billion and encompassing more than 27 million readers. Within this nonfiction market, we've identified a target market of professionals of more than 3.5 million readers, spending more than $555 million on nonfiction books. Professionals who work in business and other information industries are an ideal target for Crowdscribed initially because they are 31% more likely than the general population to be a book buyer. Additionally, we know that these readers are active online because 73% of the social reading website Goodreads users fall in the same age range as this identified target market. Lastly, this market will provide Crowdscribed with the diverse expert knowledge that we need to know what books and topics are truly in demand. We're also meeting readers' demands for credibility and social connections through our user acquisition strategy. Right now, Crowdscribed interacts with their current users with email and targeted social media. We've seen on Google Analytics significant website traffic spikes whenever Crowdscribed sends out an email, as well as 30% of our referral traffic coming from Facebook. Crowdscribed can then reach out to their initial target market with a campaign of guest blogging and targeted forum marketing, reaching out to readers and interacting with them in platforms that they're familiar with and trust. Lastly, Crowdscribed can expand their user acquisition strategy to reach the greater nonfiction market by developing an original content blog that can be used for search engine optimization, as well as purchasing Google AdWords so that they can reach readers who are already searching for terms like crowd writing. This expanding growth model will allow Crowdscribed to reach their critical mass of 500,000 users that they need to be profitable in year 3. Altogether, this crowd-based strategy will begin developing the relationships with readers that sets Crowdscribed apart from the traditional publishing industry. And now to tell you more about how we set ourselves apart from our competition, here's Austin.
Thank you, Alyssa. Crowdscribed will provide the most effective publishing model. It will do this by benefiting readers and mitigating financial risk better than anyone else. To see how, we compared ourselves against 3 other methods of bringing a book to market: the traditional publishing industry, the self-publishing industry, and the crowdfunding platform Kickstarter, in particular the nonfiction section of its publishing category. We compared ourselves on 4 metrics, 2 regarding benefits to readers and 2 regarding ourselves as a publishing model. Regarding benefits to readers, Crowdscribed sets itself apart by engaging them. Our users can submit, vote on, and discuss the titles that they want to read, whereas none of the other methods provide such an opportunity. Kickstarter does invite potential readers to fund the projects that they would like to read. However, it does nothing to incorporate their actual input into the development of the projects. Crowdscribed also delivers to readers the books that they want to read much faster than any of the other models through its distributed authorship method. Next, from the perspective of a book publisher, Crowdscribed has a clear advantage in mitigating financial risk. The other models publish what's available and hope that readers want it, while Crowdscribed knows what readers want and makes it available. We further mitigate financial risk by having an upfront revenue stream of pre-orders. Again, Kickstarter passes some of the financial risk onto the project backers. However, it does little to ensure that a project will be popular before the project creator actually invests their time, money, and effort into creating it. Finally, unlike the other models, ours is yet to be proven, but we do have the advantage of benefiting readers better and mitigating financial risk better. So next, let's see how this will lead to profitability. Our variable costs and contribution margins from producing books are consistent with the industry averages. First, let's look at our variable costs incurred on producing any particular title. First, we incur the financial reward expense of $1,000 that is given to the user that submits the winning title of any particular monthly website cycle. Next, we incur about $2,000 in chapter contract fees, as well as the executive author royalty of about 7% to actually write the books quickly through our distributed authorship method, retail print books. To see how this will lead to profitability, we've benchmarked some key sales figures. First, just in order to cover the actual production costs of a book, Crowdscribed only needs to sell 643 copies. However, in order to cover the month-to-month operating costs of the business, Crowdscribed will need to sell just over 5,600 copies of a title. This is still less than the industry standard for most regular publishers. However, if Crowdscribed is able to produce a bestseller title, just an average of selling about 60,000 copies, we can generate nearly $500,000 in profit. To show you more about what this looks like for Crowdscribed's financial model, here's JC.
Thank you, Austin. Over the first 5 years of operations, Crowdscribed projects a little over $15 million in revenues. It should be noted that these figures come from a conservative application of our competitive advantages. Because there are a high number of variables in Crowdscribed's future, we've chosen to be conservative in our creation of multiple different financial models. This model incorporates a 3% sales conversion rate, which is the retail industry standard for website users who make purchases on a regular basis. It also includes an adjusted average product mix. While the typical publishing company expects a 2-to-1 ratio of print to ebook sales, our company expects only a 1-to-1 ratio. This is because of our heavy focus on online sales and distribution. Finally, we do not add any additional bestsellers beyond the industry average until year 3 of operations. This allows for 2 years to compile the necessary data to create that predictive sales formula, as well as test and validate the formula. This 2-year time period also allows us to set ourselves up to reach that critical mass of 500,000 users. When we look at Crowdscribed's fixed costs, we find that they are also in line with industry averages. Crowdscribed needs an initial investment of $500,000, $270,000 of which goes to startup costs, and the rest of which is an operating loss in the first year. This $270,000 covers website development as well as the initial user acquisition campaign to ensure that Crowdscribed has a robust crowd of users on its first website cycle. Crowdscribed will also reach its overall break-even point midway through the 3rd year of operations, shortly after reaching that critical mass of users. Over 5 years, Crowdscribed generates $4.9 million in returns, nearly a 10 times return on that initial investment. Most exciting about Crowdscribed is its high potential for growth beyond year 5. Because Crowdscribed owns the intellectual property of all submitted ideas and titles, and the crowd will grow to support more than just one title per month, Crowdscribed will be able to sell these different projects to other interested parties, creating an additional revenue stream. In order to build this crowd and achieve profitability, Crowdscribed has many next steps over the next 3 years, starting with completing the website. Phase 2 Interactive, an Oklahoma City software company, has been contracted to complete the addition of more features to the minimum viable product Crowdscribed's team has created this semester. Some of the most important of these features include forums and book pages to encourage reader interaction, as well as social media integrations. During this time, Crowdscribed will run its social media campaign so that it is ready to launch the website in October of this year. Approximately 4 months after that launch, Crowdscribed can begin publishing the winning titles on a monthly basis, as well as guest blogging and targeted forum marketing to drive users to the site. Once we're publishing, we can also collect and analyze data to build that predictive sales formula. In year 3, we can begin our original content blog for search engine optimization, as well as begin investigating those additional revenue possibilities. Tonight, we have shown you a publishing model that is both innovative and more effective than current industry practices, the Crowdscribed model. Utilizing the crowd's insights, Crowdscribed will be able to publish best-selling books at a rate 2 to 3 times higher than industry averages. With our prescribed marketing plan, Crowdscribed will reach the 500,000 users necessary to achieve profitability, publish best-selling books, and revolutionize the publishing industry. Thank you all for coming tonight. We'll now open the floor to questions you may have.